Martell Holt may have thought the internet would be on his side, but he was wrong. When Tasha K shared that video of Melody Sheree going live to talk about the harassment she's been dealing with, it didn't just make headlines, it set off a firestorm. This wasn't just another round of exes throwing shade. Melody wasn't on social media crying over a breakup or begging for sympathy. She was raising serious concerns about harassment, threats, and her safety. For someone who has been trying to move on, raise her children, and build her businesses, going live about something so serious showed how far things had gone. People were stunned, not only by what Melody said, but by how quickly the internet reacted once Tasha K reposted the live. The comments poured in. Some people supported Melody fully, saying things like, "We hear you, sis, we've got your back." But others went the opposite way, shaming her and accusing her of being bitter or trying to sell products. Think about that for a second. Imagine going live, confessing that someone is threatening your life, and instead of concern, strangers accuse you of lying just to make money. That's the kind of victim blaming that silences so many women. Melody wasn't alone though. Her makeup artist, Jay Taylor, stepped in and spoke up because he knew staying silent would only feed the gaslighting. He made it clear that too many women are forced into silence because they're scared of not being believed, of being criticized, or of watching their experiences twisted to protect the abuser. In this case, the aggressor was Martell Holt, and his reaction was textbook deflection. Instead of addressing Melody's fears, he allegedly brushed it off. He even messaged Tasha K, laughing it away and suggesting Melody was just using this for publicity. He pointed out that all he got was a $300 fine with no jail time, as if a small fine proves innocence. But anyone knows that money doesn't erase bad behavior. A fine doesn't mean you're innocent, it just means the system didn't hold you fully accountable. And then, in typical Martell fashion, he mocked Melody's appearance in court, saying she dressed too nicely, as if she came in her Sunday best. The irony? He showed up in his own fitted suit, trying to look the part. Hypocrisy at its finest. Now let's talk about Ariane Curry, often called Coleslaw online. When she walked into court, she looked like she was heading to a party, while Melody showed up professional and composed. Guess who got criticized? Not Ariane, it was Melody. That double standard didn't sit well with fans. How was Melody the one called dramatic when Ariane's courtroom look went unchecked? Things reached a boiling point during that infamous elevator moment. Martell, Melody, Ariane, and even security all ended up in the same space. The tension was so thick you could feel it. Ariane allegedly mocked Melody during that ride, throwing jabs about her still being caught up with Martell. But here's the reality. Melody has been separated from him for years. She's focused on her kids, her peace, and her work. The one who keeps inserting himself, sending texts, showing up uninvited, and causing drama is Martell. Yet somehow, the narrative often paints Melody as the problem, someone who can't move on. But the receipts tell another story. Who's really holding on to the past? The person showing up uninvited, recording, mocking, and pushing boundaries, or the woman asking for peace? The answer is clear. Fans started to look beyond just the messy drama and began asking bigger questions. That's when Carlos King's name came up. He isn't just some producer. He created Love and Marriage Huntsville. And if Melody had been asking for help behind the scenes, then production and the network had responsibilities too. Old claims resurfaced, showing Melody had texted producers asking for someone to come to her house because she didn't feel safe. Nobody showed up. That's not a small mistake, that's negligence. If a network is filming people's personal lives, stirring up tension for ratings, the least they can do is make sure cast members are safe. Melody wasn't exaggerating, she wasn't lying, she had legitimate fears. And still, the cameras kept rolling. That raised hard questions. Who protects women in reality TV when the drama spills over into real danger? If production is only chasing ratings, where does the line get drawn? And let's not forget the Scotts, Letitia and Marceau. For years, they've made slick comments from the sidelines, sometimes minimizing Martell's actions, other times mocking Melody's struggles. Those remarks may seem small, but they chip away at support systems. Fans noticed how uncomfortable Melody looked on episodes where she tried to explain her boundaries, only to be dismissed or told to toughen up. Then there's Wanda, unpredictable as ever. One day she's defending Melody, the next she's laughing about her on Facebook Live. That inconsistency left Melody standing alone in a battle others were too afraid or too messy to step into. People love to say they're neutral, but neutrality isn't noble when someone's safety is at stake. Silence becomes complicity. Meanwhile, Martell kept up his pattern, showing up uninvited, making jokes, posting, calling, texting. And when Melody pushed back, he painted her as bitter or attention-seeking. That's manipulation at its core. Sadly, some people still buy into it. They repeat the narrative that Melody hasn't moved on. But in reality, she has. She's raising her kids, running businesses, building her brand. She's showing women how to rise above toxic relationships without losing dignity. Martell, on the other hand, spends his energy following her around, making videos and stirring chaos. Instead of fixing his own life, he clings to the drama. That elevator moment wasn't random, it was the result of years of tension. And Ariane mocking Melody during it only proved how invested she still is in competing with someone who has already moved on. When Tasha K reposted Melody's live, the conversation shifted. It wasn't about rumors anymore. It was about real patterns, unchecked behavior, and the failure to protect women. Martell thought he could spin it by sending out clips and messages, the way he usually does. But this time, people weren't buying it. They saw the bigger picture. Martell has been the common denominator in all this chaos. No matter how many receipts he tries to share, his actions speak louder. And let's not forget his comment to Tasha K, bragging that he only got a fine. That wasn't the flex he thought it was. It just reminded everyone that emotional harm often goes unpunished by the legal system. Melody took a risk by speaking her truth, and instead of support from everyone, she faced criticism, even from women who should have known better. That's the most painful part. Instead of standing with her, some added to her humiliation. But Melody never lost her composure. She didn't let the chaos drag her down. She didn't respond to every insult or fall into the trap of fighting dirty. She chose peace. That restraint became her strength. In the middle of the circus, she stood apart by refusing to play the same game. This whole saga, courtrooms, elevators, viral lives, shows what happens when platforms reward toxic behavior and avoid accountability. Fans aren't just defending Melody because they like her, they're holding the entire system accountable, from Carlos King to the network that ignored her calls for help. The truth is becoming harder to hide. Martell is running out of excuses, out of stories, out of distractions. The issue was never Melody. She has always been trying to move forward. What we've seen instead is the lengths some people will go to silence a woman demanding respect. That's why this conversation isn't going away anytime soon. People see Melody as more than just a reality star in drama. They see her as an example of strength, someone who refused to be broken by gaslighting, hypocrisy, and harassment. And that's a story people can't scroll past. At the end of the day, this story isn't just about Martell and Melody. It's about what happens when the truth collides with denial. Melody has worked hard to move on, raise her children, and focus on her businesses, yet she still finds herself pulled back into drama she never asked for. Martell continues to show up, stir chaos, and try to twist the story, but every time he does, more people see through it. What makes this even bigger is the way production, friends, and even fans sometimes look the other way. That elevator moment, the courtroom scenes, the social media battles, they all show how deeply this cycle has gone on. But Melody's strength stands out. She didn't let the criticism break her, and she didn't allow the negativity to drag her down. Instead, she kept her focus on peace, growth, and protecting her children. That's why people continue to rally behind her. This isn't about clout. It's about accountability, about asking who gets protected and who gets silenced. And in the end, the truth always comes out. Martell may try to spin it, but the receipts tell the real story.